Hello, and welcome everyone to today's episode. We're excited to have Giacomo from Turbosuite with us. And Giacomo, please start by introducing yourself. You can tell us about your role, a bit about Turbosuite, what it does, how long you've been around, and the type of property managers you mostly work with.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Giacomo and I'm Chief Revenue Officer for Turbosuite. Turbosuite is a revenue management system. It's custom-made so that we manage to increase both occupancy and rentability of our clients using big data and artificial intelligence. We deal with property managers, we deal with hoteliers as well, and we help them get the most out of their properties through correct pricing.
Great. Thank you. And Giacomo, let's start with the first question. What are some limitations of traditional static pricing rules, and how do AI-powered systems offer more flexibility in today's fast-changing rental markets?
Well, we can say there has been a change in the way revenue management has been done. Obviously, before it was fixed prices, price per seasons, but now we have the technology such as Turbosuite, so things are changing. And to keep using static rules is like having a map from last year and try to drive into a city where some of the streets might have changed. So that's the same thing with pricing. Okay, the way you using your price, if you're not connected with obviously your own establishment, your data, but also market data, you're probably losing revenue, you're probably leaving money on the table. On one side, because if the price is too low, you're losing money, and if the price is too high, you're not getting enough reservations, so you are losing money again. So solutions like Turbosuite help property managers and hotelier have the most, because they get market data, updated market data from the main OTAs as well as the data of the establishment, so that they can have real-time pricing.
How does predictive pricing help property managers lead their markets instead of simply reacting to what competitors are doing?
Well, in that case, property managers can be more proactive, meaning if they have the historical data, so they knew how the market was behaving more or less in the same dates the previous year, as well as market data to the future, they can make their own decisions without relying too much on what the competitors are doing, especially if we're talking about a limited number of competitors. Once they are selling their apartments and let's say they are all fully booked, so you're not relying on anything to do your pricing. So you need, first of all, a wider competitive set, and then you need to be aware of what the market is doing and be aware of what you are doing or what you were doing last year, on how the market behaved last year.
What role does real-time data play in Turbosuite's approach? And how is it different from the scraped or delayed data that many other tools rely on?
Now, I kind of mentioned this at the beginning. So on one side, it's true that market data is important to rely even on scraped data from, let's say, booking.com. But on the other hand, you need real-time data of your current situation. That's why we integrate with PMSs, channel managers, such as Tookit, so that we can get all the data from the channel manager in real time, and they can make decisions based on the current situation.
Can you share an example where AI-driven pricing significantly outperformed a human-led pricing strategy in terms of revenue or occupancy?
We usually tend to use the same example because it was really evident. It was a couple of years ago here in Seville, and that's where the company is located, for the Copa del Rey. Okay, we had a lot of demand for those dates, even more demand than the city could handle, because people were actually staying in the neighboring towns. And one apartment that usually is sold for, let's say, 140, 160 euros during those dates, it was for about like 8 people for 2,500 euros. Was like an enormous difference, and that was due to the data that we had in real time about the market, about how the market was reacting, and especially the situation of the city.
For property managers still relying on gut instinct or seasonal templates, what's a practical first step to adopting smart pricing without feeling overwhelmed?
I think they should start from their own current situation, identify their bookings, identify their trends, their seasons, high, mid-season, shoulder seasons, etc. And obviously from there, before starting with a revenue management system, they should have a good PMS channel manager, such as Toolkit to rely on, and then make sure that revenue management system is connected to their channel manager so that they can start working in real time. But one step at a time. First of all, identify their current situation, where they are positioned as opposed to the rest of the competition. Start with a PMS channel manager and then a revenue management system.
All right. Thank you so much for that insightful advice, Giacomo. Is there anything that you wanted to add on before we wrap up today's podcast?
My advice is to be aware that the market is changing constantly. So an investment in technology is always a good investment because they'll see like a spike in revenue. It's something that is we've experienced with all our clients, and it's something I definitely advise.
Thank you so much for that again, Giacomo.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
And that's all for today's episode. Thank you for sharing your insights with us, and thank you to everyone that is listening.